Right, so I've got a bit of a confession to make. In that last video, I said that in the next video, we were going to carry on with the Focus gearbox repair. However, the customer, who happens to be a subscriber as well, has emailed and said there is a slight issue with it going into second gear. So I have obviously made a mistake in that gearbox. So I thought, rather than hiding it, I will get the car back in and re-record whatever's wrong with it. So not only will you see the the gearbox build, we'll find out what on earth I have messed up, and I'll hold my hands and I'll show you. So instead, we're going to take it back to an Audi repair. Now, a customer of ours, and funny enough, a good family friend, phoned me while he was in the south of France. He drove down in his little Audi convertible to the south of France to get some sunshine, and it didn't make it back. I'm pretty sure he got delayed and had to stay out there for a few more days, so boo-hoo to him. But the AA brought it back. It did end up going to an Audi dealer out there who basically said it needed an engine. I spoke to him while he was out there and said, I don't think it does need an engine. So the AA brought it back, and let's see if we can fix it. Right, so we've got an Audi here that got recovered from France for a non-start. And I think the story goes it cut out. It's got some codes on it for camshaft position and everything, and it's winding over like it's got no compression. And Audi basically said they wanted to put an engine in it, but I don't think it needs an engine. It does start and it does run on all four occasionally. I'll give it a go. It might fire up on camera, but I'm not convinced that we'll be putting an engine in this. I think it's got a timing issue of some sort, but let's I'll turn it over and you can have a look. You can see it's obviously not happy, but it wouldn't run there, but it does run. It will eventually this will just run, and it will run fine on all four. It'll rev up and then it'll cut out on idle, but I'm going to plug it in, get the codes off it, and then we'll pull the timing cover off. I'll just have a quick look at the codes. I haven't actually scanned it myself. Battery's going a bit weak as well. I'm only really interested in the engine codes. Come on. Right. P0016, fuel system pressure too high, and invalid data. So the top one and the bottom one I'm going to ignore. Fuel system pressure too high. That can be caused by timing on these. And yeah, P0016 is pretty self-explanatory. So we will get some bits stripped off and have a look, see what we can see. Right, now it is definitely easier to pull the front end off this, but I don't want to do that just yet. I want to just get this cover off first. And sorry, I haven't got the microphone adapter on me today, but yeah, I want to get the cover off. I'll get it to top dead centre, and then I just want to see where the timing is. So effectively, I don't know if it's point showing you really, but you've got a T30 there for that oil cap thing, and all of them around here, and then we'll pull the cover off and we'll cut back in. Right, and I think I found the issue. Slack on the timing chain there. Now, quite often we see things like this and you think, how's the customer not heard anything? But genuinely, we had this car in not a million days away. I think it was a few months ago, and I always listen on certain vehicles with certain things, and this one of these is I always have a listen for the timing chain rattle, and I could not hear a thing on it, not at all. There was no fault codes or anything. I did just check. So yeah, sometimes maybe the customers are right, they couldn't hear anything. These are rattly engines anyway, the injectors are quite rattly on them, but I'm actually quite shocked, but that is loose as. with absolutely no given signs whatsoever. So we'll find out how far it's jumped and go from there. But I don't think there's any valve damage. I don't think it's jumped enough to cause any issues, so I think we'll be lucky. Just put a timing chain on it and move on. Right, so we pulled the front off, aircon, and degassed the aircon. They were solid, these connections. They really badly seized into the roll pin, but managed to get them off. Thought we was going to end up having to put a new pipe on that one, but managed to get it off. And the radiator, obviously when you're doing this, make sure that even though it's got a drain on it, that it hits the chassis leg and then puts coolant all over the floor, because that's much more fun. But anyway, take this timer cover off now. You can buzz this off. It has got like a keyway on it. Not that it really matters because the timing's out anyway, but yeah, we'll buzz this cover off and get to the chain. We're at the chain, so we've got to take the oil pump tensioner off, which is no big deal. Get that out of the way, get the oil pump chain off, and then get to that. This is really low mileage. We're not actually changing the other chains. They just don't need doing. There's barely any wear on that. You can see how far the tension is out on the cam chain, but the balance shaft chains and everything. This has got the later one on it already from factory. So we're just going to stick to the cam chain, get that done, and see if it starts. Right, so we've got the the balance shaft chains all timed up. I've put silver marks, I don't know if you can see it, so this light is a bit glary. Try and turn it down. I've just put some silver paint pens, it's easier to see, so that's all in time. That crank's ready to time up. And then the new chain that goes on, which was a bit of a nightmare to find, but in the end we managed to find one from the TPS, the Audi genuine bits. The new chain has got coloured links on it, and two of them go up the top, and then this bottom one goes on the crank, which you can't see, but I've put a little mark down there. And as I said, they go on the top here, so I'll put the camera down and we'll get the chain on. Right, pop it down from the top. Right, so that one's on, and the only thing that's out is the upper cam. So what I like to do is just put a cable tie around here to hold this in position while we muck around with the cams and get them lined up. So I've popped the top marks on. I've put a cable tie around this one just to keep it in position. These are a bit of a nightmare because they do want to spring, so it's a bit hard to show, but we'll pull it around now and get that bottom. Sorry, I've taken the chain back off the bottom, put the cams on, and then we'll move around to getting it on the bottom of it. Right, so now that's lined up on the bottom mark, which I'll try and show you later. What I like to do is put a cable tie around this and sort of tension the chain a little bit. Making sure that bottom mark's on. And then slide the guides in. This is where it's tight now with the cable tie on it. So we'll cut that. Check the mark's still there, which it is. And at this point I've noticed that they haven't put the tensioner in the back, so we're stuffed anyway until they come out this morning with a tensioner. Scratch that, I was sitting on it.
Is it me or does it feel like 2 days of disconnect?
And then we'll put this tensioner, it's T30, I'm not talking. Just move that over. Where the cams are sprung, basically the tension is on the wrong side at the moment, but that's not a problem. Right, so I'm just doing this out with a screwdriver. As you can see, this is not, none of these are finally torqued up. What I want to do is check the marks again. These marks here, ignore. Pull this pin. One thing I haven't done, so this top guide here, it slots in between the cams. I'll show that. And they didn't have this in stock, so I'm putting this on. I'm reusing this, but I'm not reusing it permanently. They are sending one out this morning. The good thing is I can get all the front of the car on if this is fine. Right, that's in. So pull that pin again now. Tension the chain, check all the marks are on, which they are, and I'll remove this cable tie. And what we'll do, we'll spin the engine over now twice till these cam marks come up, and obviously the timing chain marks are now going to be out, so I can't bother to go up and get cut. The timing marks are going to be out, but we're not too fussed, so I've left the oil pump chain off for the minute, just so that oil doesn't start spraying absolutely everywhere. And we'll turn it around till the cam marks come back to the top. And you'll be able to see the cam pointer. So it should come up once and then it'll come up again. Sounds and feels like it's got full compression, so that's good. Right, so obviously ignore this mark. Because we're not interested in that. I'm going to have to go around twice again because I've missed it. You can hear that's making some nice compression sounds, so that's good. Right, now we want to get that going at the peak. Shouldn't really turn backwards, but let's just do it. Right, that's at the peak. Now, I'll pause the video for a second. Right, so there's a measurement they've given, which is really handy. So where we've turned it over, obviously these teeth, I can't remember the exact amount of time. I think it's something like 50 times you have to turn it over before those marks will line up again or something. Can't remember exactly. So all these coloured links are completely in the wrong place. That's normal because we've turned it over, so you have to ignore them now. But because we've gone back and got that to TDC on that gauge, Volkswagen Audi have given us a measurement, so we can measure from this little nub here, and it needs to be between 61 and 64 mil in the middle to that sprocket. So you can see that's 62, so that's perfect. And then you can then measure between the two cam sprockets, and it should be between 124 and 126. That's a little bit to get it on the actual marks. 124, bang on. You see we're on the edge of that mark there and that mark there. So what that basically does, you get it to TDC with a gauge. I don't think this is I'm not sure if this is the official way of checking it on these, but it must be because I can't think of how else you would do it. And this is a Volkswagen tool, but it's normally for the other 1.4 TFSI engines. But you've got a measurement. So what this does, it tells you that if you're at top of the sensor, you're in line with this, and then it measures the cams, cam to cam, to check that this one's in time. But that also measures timing chain stretch, because if it was up to about there, say, you'd have a seriously stretched timing chain, because it'd be 2 mil too long, or between the two cams. So yeah, it's quite handy. So we've turned it over, we know that's in time, and we haven't got to obviously muck around trying to get the timing marks back on. We'll just leave it like that. And now what I'm going to do, like I say, that little piece isn't here yet, so we're going to knock the oil pump chain back on, like so. Right, so pop this tensioner back on it. Like so. Like I say, none of these are torqued up, so I probably won't film it. But what I'm going to do, I'll go back round now, tighten up everything, torque it all the bolts up, and then I'll mark them. Everything I've taken off, I'll mark with paint, just so I know we've we've done them. So I'll torque this up, put a bit of paint on, torque these, put a bit of paint on, this, and this, and then we'll move on to the cam, whatever you call it, big aluminium thing that goes in front of the cams, the oil control block. Right, so this little camshaft bridge, it's an aluminium little apparatus, shall we say, and the oil comes in it, and then it distributes them to both camshafts. This one is not a VVT, so some of the times these are both VVT. This would supply oil to that to adjust the timing. On this case, it just supplies oil to the for the bearing. This little thing here is a solenoid valve. This pushes in and out, and I don't know if you can see the openings and shuttings there. That controls how much oil is going into that camshaft, and the higher the oil pressure, or when it pushes enough oil pressure in, it will open the camshaft and it will adjust the timing. This electronic solenoid that goes on the front is what pushes out at that solenoid, and yeah, that's how it's all sort of controlled. You have to watch these. This mesh screen falls apart. Again, this is the later one anyway, so hopefully that'll be absolutely fine. But you do have to watch that, because what can happen is that mesh can break away and it then goes into the camshaft adjusters and destroys them. But that is the later one, and that is all fine. So it's in really good condition other than this timing chain. So just pop a bit of oil stabilizer, sorry, not assembly lube even, on the cams just before we pop that on, because we have cleaned it all up and we don't want it starting dry. And one thing you definitely need to do with these is, once you get that on, make sure it's all seated properly before tightening the bolts up for this. We're fighting the so one of the lugs down there goes into that guide. That's what we're fighting at the moment. Move that guide over a wee bit. A little bit hard to do. Oh, I've got it with my knee now. Gosh, it's really tight to get on this one. Just give it a little tap. Just try and get that guide. So what's happening? That guide's pulling it over. Gosh, it's definitely tight, this one. Might have to have a play with this one off camera just quickly, because the camera's in my way. I just managed to line it up. As soon as it's lined up, slides on lovely. It's just, yeah, it's just that pin, when it pulls it over, it makes it harder. So yeah, you want to make sure that's all lined up with them cams before putting the bolts in and tightening it up, which that obviously is. I've seen it before where you torque the cam rocker cover sort of down after tightening this, and it causes hot spots in the cam. So be able to explain. I think that might have been a different video actually. I can't remember if we filmed that job. But yes, that's all lined up. Bolt all these bolts in, torque them up, and then pop these little adjusters into that adjuster. Has got a special tool that goes in there. Again, a lot of the time we'd recommend changing these, but this is absolutely immaculate. There's no scoring in it whatsoever. Just really strange, really strange. So yeah, we'll chuck those back together and then cut back in. Right, so I put the cover on. We've used like a Loctite sealant, and what I always try and say to people is, get the bolts in as much as you can before you push it right on. So get a couple of bolts in and pull the cover away as far as you can. I'm going to get caught out here. And the reason for that, that's not going to work. Basically, if you push this cover on and smash the sealant everywhere, you'll cover the bolt holes with sealant. And you can then push the sealant into the holes and actually hydrolock the bolt hole. So I haven't tightened it up, so there's still a gap here, and it means that loads of sealant's not pouring into the bolt holes, because what will happen, if they're blind holes, it will fill with sealant and it will burst the back of it, and we have seen that. So don't get the bolts in before you push the cover on. I'm not sure about on this engine. It wasn't on this engine we've seen it. We've seen it on a Kia, which ended in a bit of a epidemic. We'll have to tighten this one up a bit, but there's no sealant in the hole, so we'll get all these tightened up now, and then torque them up. Right, so I have popped on the timing cover. I put a new crank seal on the lower one. I've popped this on. We're waiting for parts. That little thing still needs changing, and I do like to change these seals. I've popped this on with one bolt. Dipstick's not bolted in, auxiliary belt's not on, and the radiator's not in properly. But I've had to put the two pipes on because it's automatic. There's two oil pipes which I've had to put on because otherwise we can't see if it starts. So now I just want to turn it over, see if it starts up, and if so, we'll put it all back together properly once the bits have turned up. So give it a go. And just like that, give it another go. I think the dipstick tube's not in properly. And there we go. So yeah, I don't think it's helping that all the fireworks off. Give it another go. Not 100% sure why it's cutting out, but we'll get to the bottom of it. But as you can see, engine sounds completely healthy, so definitely didn't need change. Of course, the intercooler's off, so I've popped this mass airflow sensor out. Just give it a start. Go on. And there you go. Sweet as a nut. So Audi wanted to put an engine in it, went somewhere else, and yeah, just needed a timing chain. So yeah, we'll get together, we'll put all the rest back together when these bits turn up. Just waiting on Audi now. Right, so TPS have finally turned up with the extra little bit and the seals. So we're going to pull that cover back off. So same as what we did before, just going to pull it off and then I'll cut back in. Obviously this isn't ideal, it's easier to do it before the tension goes in, but so had to get a move on with it. I really needed to know if it was going to be alright before we put the front end back on, and I couldn't really wait, so. Is that done? And the cage then, pull it off this way because if this gasket holds the bolts in, so. Puts that one in. And this one again pulls out. And the new one. Go into this is dome shaped. It's got quite a dome in it, and so is this. Sorry, I've got completely confused. So is this. So when it pushes on, it goes on tighter. Going to do an oil and filter and a flush on this as well. Got a Forte flush in it. And do an oil and filter. Right, so that's that cover done. So we get that on. Tighten all these bolts up. So we'll do that, we'll pop this dipstick back on, and then put the variator back on, so that bolt holds the dipstick on, and then we are all done. That cover's on. Just put the red rubber grease around the dipstick. In. Make sure those snugly into place. In, felt it. Give this engine bay a bit of a clean up after it's not oily now. So we'll do with that. So a bit of an abrupt ending, I'm afraid. Some of the extra footage going on from that I couldn't actually use, so I've had to just cut it there, and it's quite a long video anyway. Hope you enjoyed it. That car is still driving around fine to this day. The owner still has it, or if he hasn't sold it yet. I know he was thinking about selling it, but it's still running to this day. Somewhere I've got some footage of a timing chain with all the timing marks on how to do it. I might just make a little short one day, or when we get one in next, and it will show you how to actually time them up if you give it a go yourself. And the fuel code I didn't explain. Again, I'll try and get some footage, but on the back of the camshaft you've got a square sort of shaped drive, and it pushes a lobe up and down on a high pressure fuel pump. So when the timing's out, you can either get high or low fuel pressure codes, because it's not opening in sync with the injectors firing. So that if you ever come across that code and you've got timing issues, ignore it till you've done the timing. Just don't chase your tail. I hope you enjoyed the video. That was filmed quite a few months ago now, and it's quite difficult actually. It's harder to make a video with footage we've filmed before, so some of it's a bit not very well flowing, and hopefully will improve with the quality of the videos. But if you did like it, if you did like the video, please like and hit that subscribe button, help the channel grow, and we will see you again on the next one.